Miss Bryant here again, and we are going to go ahead and practice standard RL 2.6, which is point of view. Okay, so let me go ahead and write this at the top so we know what our standard is, what our focus is. Okay, so again, when we determine the point of view, we're thinking about the point of view of the characters or narrator and explaining how my point of view is same or different. And point of view is our opinion, what the characters think and feel. All right, so we're going to read and practice with the standard using the story Night Flying Friends. And before I read, what I'm going to do is just preview the text and go ahead and look at these illustrations here. And what I can see from these illustrations are the two animals, an owl and a bat. And from looking at these two pictures, I can notice that the owl looks very scared or worried, while the bat kind of looks not so nice. So I'm going to predict that the bat is maybe an angry creature while the owl is very frightened. So that is just my prediction before we read. Something else that you can do is go ahead and look at some of the words that stand out to you, which I previewed the text before and just highlighted some important words that would help me figure out the point of view. So after we're done reading, we're going to fill out this chart together. All right, so last week, I was perched peacefully on my favorite branch in a tall oak tree, watching everything with my big owl eyes. Suddenly, I became aware of the strange creatures flying crazily through the air nearby, swooping this way and that. What was his problem? Okay, so after reading paragraph 1, I notice that the narrator is going to be the owl because it says with my big owl eyes. And already I see some describing words where I can get an idea of what his point of view is. I see the word strange creature and the word crazily. And when we use the word strange and crazily, we usually think that's not such a positive thing. So far, we can see that the owl is kind of annoyed by this bat already, because it also says, what is his problem? He's not too fond of the bat. So paragraph 2, the creature flew towards my branch, landed next to me, hung upside down by his feet. That's when I saw that he was a young brown bat. Before I could say anything, he started chattering. He talked a mile a minute about all the bugs he had just eaten and where he had been flying. Then he said, by the way, my name's Max. Good talking to you. A moment later, he let go of the branch and flapped off. Had I even said a word? So we know by this bat's actions that he is very talkative, because it says the word chattering. He talked a mile a minute, and that's that figurative language. Talking a mile a minute means he's talking very quickly. He also says that his name is Max, so I'm going to put the word Max up here. Again, we can just tell that the owl is not too fond of the bat because he says this phrase, had I said a word? He didn't even get to say anything because Max was talking so much, or so he thinks. Paragraph 3. My name is Alec, I hooted after him. Not that I care if he knew. So we have a name to our owl, and our narrator, his name is Alec. And Alec's trying to play it cool. He's like, I don't really care if this bat knows my name or not. The next night, though, I found myself hoping Max would come back. True, his strange ways troubled me. He liked to eat mosquitoes and flies after all. But we are both creatures of the night, and we both can fly. and it would be good to have someone to talk with. When I finally saw him, I swooped through the air towards him. "Hey, Max," I said, "want to stop by my branch after dinner?" So after reading paragraph 4, we can tell that Alec, our narrator, the owl, has had a change of heart. He no longer thinks of this bat as kind of annoying, but we start to see that he thinks that they're a little bit both alike, because it says we both are creatures of the night. And we see that keyword but, and we also see the word hoping Max would come back. So I believe that Alex's point of view has kind of shifted since the beginning of the story. "Sounds good," he said. Then we flew away through the night together, our first flight as friends. So yes, our main character, our narrator, has had a change of heart and no longer thinks Max is kind of just this crazy creature flying, and that they're more alike than he thought. So we're going to go ahead, and I already filled out this chart, we're going to go through and look at the details that helps us figure out their point of view of the story. So Alex, again, was our bat, and some of the actions that he did, and before I go over that, let me go over the directions. Think, what are Alex and Max's point of views towards each other? Underline the evidence from the passage to complete the chart. And that's something that I did while I was reading this story. So some of the things Alex did was Alex watched Max fly through the air, and that was at the beginning of the story where he was kind of seeing this was a crazy bat. And Alex, at the end of the story, hoped that Max would return. So from these details and his actions, we can say that Alex's point of view was, at first, it was a little bit annoyed and frustrated with Max, but then he realized they have a lot in common and could be friends. Whereas Max, our bat, I said that Max flies through the air catching bugs. We didn't really know a lot about Max. And then that Max strikes up a conversation with Alex. And that happened, I believe, in our second paragraph. So, since the narrator is the owl and not the bat, we have to infer what Max's point of view is. And infer is just a really good guess of what Max is thinking, since we don't really know his thoughts in the story. So we would say Max is social and just wants to be friends with other people. He really likes Alex. That's why he came up to him. And again, that's inferred because I can't see in the story what he's thinking, because that's not who's telling our story. So, if we remember our standard, that the third part of the standard says that we can explain how our point of view is different than the narrator's. So, do you agree with Alec? Do you agree that he was annoying at first, but then they had a lot in common? Or do you think something completely different? So, just a little tip. As we saw in this story, a character's point of view can change through the story. Watch for details showing how this happened, and we definitely highlighted that in our story. As you are practicing on your own with the next story, I encourage you to make a chart yourself and write down details that you see, just like we did in our story. Thanks, and have a good day.